What have been the greatest achievements of Humana movement over this more than 45 years since its creation?
I would say the greatest achievement is all the programs we have developed and the impact we have had on people's lives. So people, the trained teachers, people's life saved through our HIV/AIDS programs, our Farmers Club program producing more food and sustaining people against the climate crisis. These are the most important impact of all the work we have done. But then you also have to think about that another great achievement is actually the network of like-minded organizations and the importance of that network, of how they have learned to work together and complement and supplement each other, which makes all that work happening in the field to improve people's lives possible. Because we have organizations that raise funds through the circularity of textile, through reuse, and we have organizations that are experts in implementing development projects in the global south, and they work together to find the best possible way to create sustainable impact. And that network in itself is also one of our greatest achievements, I would say.
What have been the main challenges that the global movement has overcome during these years?
Well, challenges are always there. I mean, when you look back at 45 years of history, then of course, in the beginning we were amateurs, we were passionate, and we tried our best, to have the best possible impact in our communities, and it took time to learn. Funding has always been a challenge because we always wanted to do much more than we had the possibility to do. But then with the income from our sale of second-hand clothes, we were able to also establish teams that could raise more funds. You can say multiply by 3 or 4 the amount that we were able to raise in the network through partnership with other organizations. So that is something that took time to develop, but we have become very good at it. And other challenges is, of course, what can I say? I know that in the organization in the north, now, for example, with the new regulation from EU and the changes that creates to the market, sometimes a bit of uncertainty about the future, then there's a challenge to see how shall we develop our second-hand clothes or our reuse business in the future so that it can continue to have the same impact as it has today. But these are challenges that we will overcome by working together as we have always done in the past.
Could you tell us more about the teacher training colleges that train teachers and for Humana's educational projects in Africa?
So you can say about halfway in our current development, or a bit earlier, we decided that we wanted to create sustainable institution that could contribute to one of the most important challenges in the countries where we work, and that was the training of new teachers. We could see that while education was given priority in the countries where we worked, and most children went to school, having compulsory education, or at least trying to give access to all the children to go to school, there were lack of teachers that were actually able and willing to work under the prevailing circumstances and also use their own effort and energy to solve some of the challenges that communities and the local school was facing. So not just being good teachers, but being anchored in the community and being willing to go the extra mile to mobilize community to build an extra classroom, to solve the problem of sanitation for the students, and then also be good teachers who could understand the level of their children and what the children needed to move on in their education path.
What is the Graduated Teachers Network, and what role does it play?
So far we have around 58 colleges. We have 34 colleges, teacher training colleges in Africa, and we also work in 22 government teacher training institutions in India, and we have trained 68,000 teachers since the beginning in Mozambique in 1993. So a lot of teachers have been trained and they have started working, but then we could see that many of the teachers had difficulties by being in an environment of training where they were organized together, supporting each other, and then suddenly being one by one out in the rural areas under very difficult circumstances. So we facilitated that teachers could actually start organizing them in groups, working together, meeting to help each other, making plans, to discuss and share their experiences. And this is what the Graduated Teacher Network is all about. It's about collaboration and supporting each other among the teachers who have graduated.
What are the causes of today's global food crisis, and how is Humana responding to it?
So the main cause of today's food crisis is global warming and climate change. There is a climate crisis in the world, which means that the change of the climate makes it more difficult for farmers to grow because their crops are influenced by drought, floods, you name it, all kind of changing storms. But we have also seen over the years in many countries the soil has also been depreciated because of use of too much fertilizer and chemicals. So there is also need to give life back to the soil, to give it the possibility to actually absorb carbon and be more productive and thereby produce better crops.
What is the significance of the technical and vocational educational and training for young people in Africa?
We can see from different reports that the young population in Africa is estimated to double to 830 million people by 2050. And it is very important that all these young people, they have the skills and the capacities and the attitude to understand themselves as potential drivers of development in their own communities and countries. Not only as skilled youth that can get a job, that are ready to take any job that are offered to them in the industry, but actually also young people that are able and willing to start their own enterprises, to go back to their community and lead development initiatives in their communities, because that's the way that all these 830 million people or young people can actually be a part, instead of becoming a problem, can become an active part of developing their own countries.
Which diseases are prioritized in Humana People-to-People health program?
Up to now, we have mainly focused on so-called communicable diseases, which main is HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria. But then we have also started to work with malnutrition, so that, improving nutrition among children, child and women health and so on. But mainly the communicable diseases. So, for example, 25 years ago, we started the TCE program, Total Control of the Epidemic, where we actually mobilized communities in whole geographical areas to take control of HIV in their own lives. And we have continued to develop this program as the strategies and the different programs in the international communities evolved. After some years, antiretroviral treatment became available, so it was imperative that every person who were HIV positive knew their status and could access treatment, which both, of course, saves lives, and it also reduces the possibility for transmission. And then continue to work for more knowledge, more understanding among communities to prevent the disease from transmitting further.
What percentage of Humana's income in 2024 came from second-hand clothing business?
So in 2024, 23% of the total funds available for development assistance came from the different associations that were collecting, sorting and selling second-hand clothes. So around $28 million. And this is money that is really valuable because it enables us to go into the other partnerships that often needs co-funding or preparation, or in other ways, this funding from the second-hand clothes is often twice as valuable because it enables us to raise 3 or 4 times as much money. So we are very grateful for the money that comes from the Humana organizations.
What is the social and economic impact of second-hand clothing globally?
We all know that the fashion industry or the textile industry is one of the main or one of the biggest polluters. Over the past few years, also the purchase of clothes have increased tremendously. People are buying more and more clothes, and that also means that they are using it for shorter and shorter time. So in that aspect, it's very important that clothes that are used not very much is reused, because there are a lot of people who are happy and willing to buy a piece of clothes that have been used 2-3 times and then use it for more. So we see the main impact that we can have on the whole circular economy is reuse, that people actually use the clothes again and again. And then we have also seen that reusing an item or buying a new item creates 70 times more pollution than actually reusing an already produced item. So it has big significance.
How does Humana Bulgaria participate in global second-hand clothing supply chain? And what is the social and economic impact of its activity?
Humana Bulgaria is of course part of the global, you can say, second-hand clothes supply chain. We can call it global circular economy in action, and specifically through its sorting center. So it receives second-hand clothes from different European countries and then sort it here. And then a lot of the clothes are actually sold in more than 40 shops in Bulgaria itself. And some of the clothes are sent to Africa, where it is also resold and gives a lot of livelihoods and jobs in the African economy. And then some is also sent to other European countries to be sold there in shops. So all in all, it has a big value. Your sorting center really feeds or delivers clothes to many different shops, and those shops are the main source of income when I talked about the 23% of HPP donations.